Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another walk around. This week I am joined by the brand new Citroen C5 Aircross. There we are, looking very nice in its optional Tijuca blue paintwork. Apologies for the shadow, obviously I've got the sun right behind me. But yes, as always, I will show you around the car, talk you through its specification and give you my initial thoughts. So yes, here we are, the Citroen C5 Aircross. As I've mentioned, this blue paintwork looks really, really nice. Now, the model you are looking at is the mid-range Flair model. And as standard, you get 18-inch alloys, which I do really like the design of. Now, apologies for the wind noise. It is very breezy here, so hopefully it isn't too windy on the audio. But yes, I really like the 18-inch alloys. You also get Citroen's famous air bump panels as well. If you are unaware of what these panels do, it's basically to give the car a bit of extra protection. So let's say you park in a car park and someone flings their door open and it happens to hit the car, these air bump panels should protect the car from any dings, scrapes or scratches. And it works the other way, so if you happen to open your door a little bit too fast and you knock someone's car, hopefully you won't do any damage. You get tinted rear windows as part of the specification, and at the back you get these really funky 3D LED rear lights which look fantastic when the sun goes down. They are a very nice addition. Overall, I think it is a good looking car. I actually think it's better looking than the C4 hatchback and the Citroen C3 Aircross. So yeah, I think it's a good looking car. Let me take you inside, because it is very cold out here actually. That wind is really bringing down the temperature. Right, so also as standard, you get these very nice seats which have got a healthy smattering of leather on them. And these are Citroen's advanced comfort seats. So basically they're designed to give, well, as the name would suggest, they give better comfort. And my word, guys, they are so nice to sit in. They are like armchairs, I kid you not. So Citroen has done a very good job here. The foam is nice and dense, and when you sit in them, you kind of just sink into them. They are very nice indeed. Speaking of which, let me step in and park my bum. Close the door to escape the wind. Right, so let me talk you through the inside. It's quite stylish, much like the outside, and I really like it. As I've mentioned, the seats have got a nice design to them, and they are very comfortable. But I quite like the design of the steering wheel. Of course, it is trimmed in leather. It's kind of got a flat top and a flat bottom. And you've got this big wide spoke at the bottom. Yep, it is, yes, it's a stylish car. Now let me talk you through the kit and the specification. So let me turn the ignition back on. Now you've probably spotted you've got this very nice digital display here. So it's similar to Audi's virtual cockpit and yep, so forth. It is a 12.3-inch digital display, and of course the modes. The views can be changed, like so you've got a little dial here, common autofocus. There we go, you've got a little dial that you can just twist up and down. And you can change the modes. Well, I say the modes, you can change the views. So you've got one for, it does take a while to change, but there we are. Got navigation, that looks very nice. Personal, so that's if you want to customize the view, like so. Minimum, sorry, I was about to say minimal, sorry, minimum. You've got minimum, there we are, which just literally gives you your speedo, and as you can see, you've got the traffic sign recognition down there. So yes, very minimalistic, as the name would suggest. And yes, you do have quite a few. It does take a while to rattle through them. So let me put it back onto personal, because I quite like that view. You get cruise control as standard. There we are. One thing I don't like is, particularly for my driving position, when I'm driving, I can't really see the dial. So yeah, activating the cruise control can be a little bit tricky at times, mostly because I can't really see what I'm doing. So that is a bit of a design flaw. Of course, you've got buttons on the steering wheel, got front and rear electric windows, but that's to be expected really. Now, as well as the very, very appealing 12.3 inch digital display, you also have an 8-inch touchscreen, as you can see here. So you've got media, you've got a DAB radio and Bluetooth, of course. You've got smartphone connectivity as well if you hit this button down there. So these buttons, they are touch sensitive, so they aren't actually physical buttons that you can press. They are touch sensitive, which some may like and some may dislike. When you're driving, it can be a little bit of a faff sometimes, but to be honest, you do get used to it quite quickly. But as you can see, you've got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. My phone isn't plugged in because I'm using my phone to record audio. You've got dual zone climate control. Like other Citroens and Peugeots, there's no physical dial to adjust the temperature, which I would prefer. Again, it's all touch sensitive. Now, you can change the temperature by using the voice recognition. So you've got a button here.
To begin, say a command after the tone.
Increase temperature.
Temperature changed.
There we are. And as you can see, it was only changed it for one side. That's interesting. So I had both sides set to 24, and it's increased this side to 25, but not that side. That's quite interesting. But yes, you've got the dual zone climate control. You've got to navigation as well. There we are. Vehicle settings. So this car does have park assist, which I'm yet to try out, but I will do at some point. And you can turn the parking sensors off if you want to. You can turn the automatic high beam off, which I've done, because I find sometimes the automatic high beam can be a little bit too eager to turn on. And you've got vehicle settings there. There we are. You can change safety, parking, comfort, and headlights. And of course, you've got the Bluetooth connectivity right there. You've also got buttons down here. Now, these aren't touch sensitive, so they do actually have little buttons underneath the logos. So you've got one to turn the climate control off altogether. Actually, let me do that actually, because I've just realised I've been sat here with the climate control on and it might have affected audio. So apologies if it has. We've also got buttons for the heating, locking, and to turn the stop start off as well. You don't get a normal handbrake in this car. You get an electronic parking brake, which I'm not a massive fan of, to be honest. But more cars are going that way, so I should really get used to it. You've got USB ports here and a 12-volt socket. You've also got a handy storage area down here, which is quite deep actually. You can store quite a few things in there. I've got my wife's portable charger in there, like so. My sunglasses and my USB lead. Got a button for the eco driving mode if you want to get a little bit more fuel economy out of the car. Pardon me. And I've got a 6-speed manual gearbox. You can have an 8-speed automatic for the Citroen C5 Aircross, but not for this engine. But I will talk about the engine a bit later on. Now let me move on to storage. The door bins are of a decent enough size, but they're not massive. So can you fit a bottle of drink in there? Let's have a look. So I've got a bottle of fruity drink, which is 500 millilitres. So you can fit it in, but you can't actually, well, I suppose you can stand it up, but that's going to slide about when you're driving, so that will become a little bit annoying. So the door bins are of a decent size, but you can fit a bottle in there, but obviously it won't stay still, so that may be of annoyance to some buyers. I'll be honest, it would be an annoyance to me. But for, I've got the car's paperwork here, the spec sheet, that goes in fine. There we are. Right. You've got 2 cup holders in the middle. As you can see, I've put my drink in there, and that's a leftover coffee from yesterday. Now, one thing I will say is when you do have, well, particularly when you have a bottle in this space here, it does kind of block your access to the gear lever. So when you go to change gear, well, for me anyway, I find a bottle there just gets in the way when I change gear, because I like to have my arm lower because it's resting on the armrest. So yeah, that is a little bit annoying, but it's not the first car that has had cup holders which are a little bit inconvenient. But what isn't inconvenient is this storage area here. Now it also doubles up as an armrest, which is quite nice. It's trimmed in leather, very nice. Got a button here. There we are. It opens up like so. And as you can see, it's got a lot of storage. So to give you some idea, I can fit pretty much half, 3/4 of my arm in there. So it is very deep, very practical. You've got a little storage area here. I've got some of my bits for my microphone that can be taken out if you want to do so. And as you can see, it is very deep, and I've got my lunch in there and a few of my other microphones, a few backup microphones. And yes, that is a very deep area. In fact, it's pretty much like a cave in there. Obviously you've got a door bin on the other side, of course, it almost goes without saying. And of course you do get a glove box, which is comically small. Yes, as you can see, it isn't very big. It is literally a glove box. You can fit a pair of gloves in there, and that's about it. Okay, granted, you might be able to fit a packet of crisps in there. But yeah, that gives you an idea of just how small it is. Now, the result of this is because, well, the cause of this, I should say, is there. That is the fuse box. Now, when Citroen and Peugeot convert their cars from left-hand drive to right-hand drive, they don't bother to move the fuse box. They just leave it where it is. That's why, for anyone who has a right-hand drive model, you get a very small glove box. So yes, not very practical at all. Right, retrieve my Monster Munch. There we are. And put them back in there like so. Now let's talk about getting a good driving position. That's very easy. The steering wheel adjusts for rake and reach like so. And my driver's seat, much to my surprise, is electronically adjustable, which is pretty handy. Let me just quickly jump out and show you. So you've got the buttons here, and as you can see, yes, it is electronically adjustable, which is pretty handy. Now, whilst I'm out the car, let me take you into the rear. Now, as always, guys, the driver's seat has been adjusted for me. I'm 6'2", so I am, of course, a taller person. So let's see how we get on in regards to space. There we are. All these seats are so comfortable. They're like marshmallows. So as you can see, I've got a decent amount of legroom. I haven't got acres, but it's enough for me. And I can fit my feet underneath the seat in front of me, so I can stretch back and relax. But yeah, knee room is okay, pretty decent. Headroom is pretty good. So I've got no complaints there. And of course, you've got headrests, so you can get even more comfortable. Now, what's really good about the rear of the Citroen C5 Aircross is, of course, you do get 3 seats, but they are all the same width and they slide independently to one another. So, for example, I can bring that seat forward if I wanted to, like so. A little bit difficult to do with one hand, but yeah, there we are. And yeah, the seats slide backwards and forwards, like so. But yes, because each seat is exactly the same width, you should be able to get 3 adults in here with very little issues. So again, good for practicality, good for space, and also good for comfort. And the transmission tunnel, that's my umbrella. Let me move that out of the way. The transmission tunnel is very minimal. So yeah, so you haven't got a large hump going through the middle of the car. So if you wanted to sit in the middle seat, you should have very little problem whatsoever. Now this seat has been brought all the way back because my wife likes to stretch her legs out. So obviously this is a bit of an extreme example because normally this seat would be further forward. But yeah, in the middle seat, it's pretty good, I have to say. And I've still got, you know, a good amount of headroom. So yeah, 3 adults in the back should be pretty doable. And I don't think there'd be too many complaints back here, in all honesty, not unless they're really big fat people, but yeah, the back is pretty good. Also, one thing I do like about the rear is you get a USB port, which you can't really see because it's all the way down here, and it's handy because it means someone in the back can charge their smartphone or their tablet. So yeah, again, pretty good practicality. And just on the just whilst I finish off on practicality, you also get a door bin as well. It's not massive, but you can fit 1 or 2 smaller items in there, some snacks perhaps for a road trip. Right, now let me show you the boot. As you will see, it is pretty gargantuan. And as you can see, I've got all of my filming stuff in there. So what I will do is I will cut away to a clip where the boot is empty. But yes, the boot is very large indeed. Now, the size of it does change depending on whether you have the rear seats slid forwards or backwards. So if you have the rear seats slid all the way back, you get a very agreeable 580 litres. But if you slide the rear seats forward, that increases to 720 litres. So very large indeed. However, if you need even more space, you can of course fold the rear seats down altogether to enjoy 1,630 litres worth of space. So this SUV pretty much becomes a van. Very, very good indeed. As you can see, the opening is nice and wide, it's square, so it's practical. There's no lip at all. So if you want to load bigger items, let's say you want to load, I don't know, a mattress or maybe even a wardrobe or a large piece of furniture, it should be pretty easy because you haven't got a high lip to navigate. And what's better still, as standard, you get, I can't quite lift this up. Bear with me, guys. Oh, why won't this lift up? Oh, there we go. You get a spare wheel, which nowadays is a bit of a rarity. You normally get like a tyre repair kit, so that is pretty good. Oh, there we are. That was nice and delicate. So yes, the boot is very, very practical and very, very usable. But however, there is a slight problem. The tailgate, it is quite heavy. It's quite a large tailgate, as you can see, and as such, it is quite heavy, so I think some owners may struggle to open and close it. Now, it is worth noting, if you go for the range-topping Flair Plus model, you do get an electric tailgate, so that obviously gets rid of that issue. Now, let me finish by talking about the engine. Lift up the bonnet like so. I've got a release here. There we are. So for the Citroen C5 Aircross, you have a choice of 4 engines, 2 petrol or 2 diesel. Now I've got one of the petrol engines. Right, let me just lift it up like so. So I've got the 1.2 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder PureTech engine. It's called the PureTech 130 because it has exactly, yes, you've guessed it, 129 horsepower. I'm not too sure why they didn't call it the PureTech 129, but maybe it hasn't quite got the same ring to it. So yes, this engine has 129 horsepower with 230 newton meters of torque. As I mentioned earlier, it is mated to a 6-speed manual gearbox. In regards to performance, this car will hit 62 miles per hour in 10.5 seconds and continue to a top speed of 117 miles per hour. In regards to economy, on a combined run, using the new WLTP method of testing, this engine is good for 40.9 miles to the gallon on a combined run. In regards to emissions, this car emits 121 grams per kilometre of CO2. But if you want to cut down your costs, you can of course go for one of the diesels. There is a 1.5 litre diesel, which gives you better economy. That gives you around 55 mpg, and the emissions are around 110 grams per kilometre. So if you want an even more frugal Citroen C5 Aircross, then be sure to check out the 1.5 litre diesel. There we are. So yes, there we have it guys, one more look at the Citroen C5 Aircross. There will of course be a full review coming. In fact, that is the video I'm filming straight after I have finished this one. But yes, one more look at the very stylish, very comfortable Citroen C5 Aircross. There we are, pretty good looking car in my opinion. Anyway guys, that pretty much sums everything up for the time being. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do give it a massive thumbs up. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click that bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. And if you aren't subscribed, guys, what are you waiting for? Be sure to subscribe for more car obsession.